The first thing you feel when you step into the West Wing is the weight of history pressing down on you. The air is thick, not just with the smell of polished wood and strong coffee, but with the knowledge that every decision made inside those walls has the power to ripple across the world. For Anthony Scaramucci and H.R.McMaster, two men who entered the Trump administration with entirely different backgrounds but similar convictions about duty, walking into that arena was like stepping onto a battlefield, only the weapons were words, decisions, and raw power. Scaramucci, fiery, outspoken, and brash, came from Wall Street. He was used to the cutthroat pace of finance, the adrenaline of deals made at midnight, and the roar of risk. To him, Washington was another arena to conquer, another game to play. McMaster, on the other hand, was a decorated soldier and scholar, a man shaped by war and bound by discipline. Where Scaramucci thrived on energy and bravado, McMaster thrived on structure and strategy. They couldn't have been more different, but both had been pulled into the orbit of one man, Donald J. Trump. Trump's presidency was unlike anything either of them had experienced. For Scaramucci, his brief but explosive time as White House communications director was a whirlwind of late-night calls, unpredictable tweets, and an environment where loyalty was demanded but rarely returned. For McMaster, serving as national security advisor meant confronting some of the gravest threats to the nation while navigating a commander-in-chief whose decisions often defy traditional strategy. What they both learned, however, went beyond policy or politics. It was about human nature, leadership, and the dangers of unchecked ego. Anthony Scaramucci's story began with a sense of awe. He remembered the day he first walked into the Oval Office, the sunlight spilling across the resolute desk, Trump leaning back in his chair like a king surveying his court. Trump's charisma was undeniable. He had a way of making everyone feel like they were in on something big, something world-shaping. For Anthony, it felt like destiny. But destiny turned into disillusionment quickly. The pressure cooker of the White House magnified everything: ambition, rivalry, paranoia. Scaramucci was brash, and in that environment, his unfiltered words became both his weapon and his downfall. One infamous interview ended his tenure after just 11 days, but those days taught him more about power than decades on Wall Street ever could. He saw how fear ruled the corridors of the West Wing, how truth bent under the weight of loyalty tests, and how quickly allies turned to enemies when survival was on the line. For McMaster, the lessons were graver. A soldier who had spent his life studying history and the consequences of failed leadership, he entered the administration with hope that he could steady the ship, bring discipline to chaos, and protect the nation from impulsive decisions. But